So Rich flexed some muscles, Dawn offered a hand, and the most unlikely people took a trip to Cookville. All that and more as we take a break from the workday to have some lunch with the Clydesdale. Let's go.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Lunch with the Clydesdale. Glad to be with you all. What is going on? Trent, Olive, Joseph, Corey, Sarah. Good to see you all in the chat. So glad you could be here. What's going on, Shay? Shay, doubling up, taking a break from watching the Sunday show to watch the lunch live today. Man, that is too much Clydesdale, probably too much, more than the prescribed amount. I'm positive. We got Jose, we got Terry. How's it going? So two things before we dive into like the big story of the weekend is I have had a cricket in my laundry room, which is just on the other side of my my podcast area for like the last week. He is either multiplied or really hungry for a mate because the chirps are like insane today. So insane. And I hope it doesn't come through the mic. I don't think it does, but man, he is really going at it today. Or she, I don't know. I don't know how to tell the difference between a male cricket and a female cricket, but man, the chirps are loud. So with all the CrossFit stuff going on, did you guys see the big crazy story from the weekend? And that is that former NFL quarterback and current Fox broadcaster Mark Sanchez was stabbed in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he was there to do the game between the Colts and the Raiders. And the first thing that broke was that he was stabbed. And I was like, that's crazy. So then Brady Quinn filled in for him for the game because he was hospitalized originally in critical condition and then and now in stable condition. But turns out like he was fighting with a 69-year-old man, a truck driver who was at a restaurant to change out the oil from the fryers. And he was parked outside, exchanged the oil. While he came out, Mark was like, he was told by the hotel to tell this truck driver not to be there. And the truck driver was like, I don't know what you're doing. And confronted the guy, ended up crawling into his cab. The guy asked him to get out. Mark gets out. He confronts him in the street, starts chasing him around like the area. And again, this guy's 69 years old. Mark is a 38-year-old former NFL quarterback. The guy gets afraid and pepper sprays Sanchez, allegedly. And then Sanchez allegedly tackles him into a stack of pallets. The guy gets all beat up from the pallets, reaches into his pocket, pulls out a pocket knife and stabs Mark Sanchez like 3 times, flees from the scene, and then flies into the nearest open establishment he can find to hide from Mark Sanchez. And now they're both hospitalized with all the injuries from this occurrence. And just before he came down, Mark Sanchez was charged with felony battery against this individual. And the Fox news station in Indianapolis has shown pictures of the victim, the 69-year-old man, and it is crazy. And it's one of those stories, like, you have this Mark Sanchez, this former NFL quarterback. He's doing well with Fox, you think. And then this incident happens out of nowhere. He's married to an actress, and they've been able to put all the story I told you together because of security cam footage of the whole thing, which does, from the interview with the police officer, the detective, corroborates the truck driver's story. But again, this is all alleged. And Terry, yeah, there is video. There is security cam footage of the entire thing, apparently. And it's crazy. But I cannot believe, like, all this happened. And I see that Corey said, like, cocaine is a weird drug and things like after midnight. Yeah, you've got to think it's got to be drug induced, right? They said he was slurring his speech and apparently drunk, but, like, I've never known alcohol to do that to a person. But maybe I just haven't experienced anything like that. Yeah. Aaron Fraser, nothing good after midnight. Usually 65 and older makes it a felony battery. Well, I think anytime you would tackle somebody into a stack of pallets, because those pallets are not well constructed, right? And then, and I think that the guy from the pictures looked like he got cut up pretty bad from that attack there. So I think it was, even regardless of age, he was going to get the felony. Vicky said psych problems, maybe. I thought the same thing. It might have been psych problems for sure. And it's crazy because Mark has never been known as, like, that guy, right? It really caught me out of, I don't know. I've never been, that's why it caught me off guard, because he was never that guy that he's always seemed to be, like, up and up. Yeah, that's what my wife said, Shanna, CTE. She immediately went to CTE. So I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more in the coming days, but damn. There it is, like, all in front of you. You're working for Fox, you're making good money, and this comes out of the blue. I'm trying to find the pictures real quick, but I'm having a hard time finding those. Again, I saw them this morning, but I don't know the source where I saw them. So, Train Olive, have they fired him yet? I don't believe they have. I'm guessing they're waiting for details. The only statement that Fox made was wishing him a speedy recovery. So I don't know. Joseph says he never played enough to get CTE. Maybe the butt fumble did it. I don't think it's how much you played. And Joseph, you got to remember, from his rookie season, for the first 3 years of his career, he was in the AFC Championship game. So he wasn't only playing a full regular season. He was playing playoffs as well in those first 3 years. And it's about the amount of how hard the contact was, in addition to, like, how many times the contact occurred. Yeah, and Andrew makes a good point. He played a ton in college and before that as well. Vicky, have I seen the Madden 25 game documentary? If not, you may enjoy that. I think I have. But it may have been a minute. I'll have to check that out again and make sure. But I do think I think I saw it. So anyway, just a little weird story that happened I wanted to hit on before we got into the stuff. We talked about it briefly last night on the Sunday night show, and that is that Rich Froning, of course, over the past few months has been making plans, according to him, on the Coffee Pods and Wads podcast and his own podcast, to set themselves up for a way to move forward depending on how the sale of CrossFit was going to go. And then this weekend, he was speaking at the Coaches Congress in London. And during his speech, Don Fall got up, said that the reason there haven't been the conversations was on him, meaning Don Fall. And he offered up a sit down with Rich to talk about what he wants to see, all those kinds of things. I reached out to Jake from the Base Show and asked, like, how was that received? Did Rich seem to accept it? He said, yes, he did seem very receptive. He did seem to accept it. And the crowd then applauded when they saw this coming together of the two. Since that, some things have come out. And this was on a comment section from Savon's video about Austin Malialo yesterday. And it is Rich's dad, Rich Sr., put this, I get tired of this kind of gobbledygook. And he puts together like this list of six things that are truths about where Rich stands with CrossFit. The first ones are pretty well, we all know. Rich has maintained through the years that Greg's CrossFit methodology is solid. CrossFit Mayhem is based on, will be consistent with that methodology. Austin will be supporting our Mayhem CrossFit affiliates. Y'all have no idea of the background bullshit that's gone on with CrossFit HQ over the last few years. And here's the big zinger. And it was good to have a couple Berkshire Hathaway peeps in the gym a couple weeks ago. So Berkshire, not Berkshire Hathaway, but Berkshire is the private equity company that owns CrossFit. They made a trip to Cookeville to meet with Rich, apparently, and hang out at the gym. That is an interesting development. But what I find very peculiar are Berkshire are Don Fall's bosses. If they went there a couple weeks ago and it was just yesterday or the day before that Don Fall offered the hand and offered up a sit down, where are we? Are Berkshire and the CEO on the same page? Is a big question I have. And where are we with the sale? It to me, and I said this last night, we made a Factor Fiction 2 Sunday nights ago where I said, Factor Fiction, that CrossFit is not really for sale. They've just been duping us. And that was a joke in my mind when I wrote it. It was just like my impatience of that nothing has happened. And now from that point forward, and it's only been a week, I am more and more convinced that was actually a fact. I don't think CrossFit is for sale anymore. I don't think they're going to sell. And I think that Berkshire and Don Fall are scrambling to get their eggs in the same basket and their ducks in a row, if I'm going to use a bunch of cliches, to get things right. So my big question, and I know I'm just kind of rambling here as it's all coming into me, is that did Berkshire realize that the value of CrossFit isn't what they thought it was? Did they realize that the threat of Mayhem leaving is such a big threat that they can't sell with a guarantee that they'll keep enough affiliates to fulfill the contract of the sale? It's been mentioned, especially on Savon's show, that when Greg sold the company, there was a caveat in that contract that X number of affiliates had to stay with CrossFit for the sale to be final. And that is possible. It could be still there during this sale or lack thereof. And then once they found it wasn't worth what they thought it was, that's why we've seen all the changes in what the way CrossFit is going about things. Better marketing campaigns, better content, daily content on their channels, a CrossFit podcast that's active now, a schedule release for next season already, all these things, right? Because now they're realizing after 5 years that they need to right this ship in a way that makes sense and grows the company again for them to even be able to sell it off. Because I think what they've learned is they've screwed it up so bad that it's a poison pill to sell. You're not really getting anything from that. And unless they clean up the house and get things on the right track, they're not going to be able to sell it off. I'm anxious to know your thoughts on that, because I think that's a huge wake-up call. And if that's what it took for them to like take a step back and start doing things in the right direction and actually start trying to grow this thing again, maybe that's what they needed. They needed to put themselves out there for sale and realize nobody wants them. Well, nobody wants them at the price that they have. Let's just say that. I think a lot of people will want them. It's just not at the asking price. So, Vicky says all of the above. Yeah, I think it is all of the above. So why the disconnect now, where a couple weeks ago, Berkshire in Cookeville, the board, the people that actually own CrossFit, and then the CEO just 2 days ago saying, hey, this is all on me, the lack of communication. Let's have a sit down. Well, apparently Rich has had a sit down. If everything Rich Sr. is telling us in this post is true, they've already had the sit down with the board. I don't know what a sit down with Don Fall does at this point. Where he wants to make inroads would be with the board of directors, the people that own the company. The CEO is just their mouthpiece. So I feel like, and I said this again last night a little bit, but I want to expand on it. We are so nutso and nerdy about the sport that we talk about the sport so much. And really what the sale is about is the affiliates. And I think that the bigger affiliates, and Rich being one of them, have the power right now to say, who have the power right now to say something are these mega affiliates. Like you have people like CrossFit NYC, CrossFit Brooklyn, CrossFit Louvre. They all have over 1,000 members. Those affiliates, along with Mayhem, who Mayhem just has the biggest brand. They have built their brand so big that even though they don't have the number that those of athletes that those places have, do have as much pool and leeway because of their brand and their connection to so many of the affiliate network, that they really have some things to say. Vicky, I think the two choices they had, especially after the 24 games, is fire sale, take a massive hit, or fix as much as we can and rebuild value for X time to try to sell again. I think the rebuild part took too long from the 24 games, in my opinion. I think they thought they could fire sale, but they didn't realize how massive of a hit they would take. So I think it's a combination of the two. They tried to do the fire sale with limited hit, and that didn't work. So now they're trying to rebuild, and we'll probably try to sell again later. Sarah Cooper, they are also battling High Rocks takeover at a lot of gyms. I don't think High Rocks is ever going to take over CrossFit. I don't know. High Rocks is great for what it is. To me, it's just a 5K or a half miler or a triathlon. It's a thing that people go do. And they have fun doing it, and that's awesome. And it's fine to have in the space. But as a gym methodology, I don't think that's going to fly for very long if you're just doing the same X number of movements over and over and over again. But I could be wrong. Jenny says the list of people who take Don Fall seriously is small. It's wild he did that so publicly. I just wonder if the board is giving him more power or more leeway these days than they did before. That's what I find interesting. But again, they made him be the fall guy for so much of what the board decided. They have probably limited his power. And now I almost believe that if they want to move forward and try to fix everything, they're going to have to replace Don because they let him be the fall guy for too long. They realize that all things Rich wants is ultimately what's best for CrossFit and therefore Berkshire. I think that Rich has valuable insight. Does that mean that I think everything Rich does is perfect? Probably not. But I do think he deserves it. I do believe these big affiliates deserve a seat at the table to talk. If you're attracting 1,000 members or you're Mayhem who's built this big empire, you're doing something right. And they should have a seat at the table to talk about what they've learned and what they're doing. And after listening to Jake on the Base Show this morning, like the one thing that Mayhem does is they have a mission statement and they believe in that mission statement and they work toward that mission statement. I have contended on this show for the past couple months that CrossFit doesn't have that mission statement or North Star to go after. Now, F the Fix, I think, is a move in that direction. And maybe going after GLP-1s is in that direction. But they need to put something on paper that they believe in as an entity to bring the community together to fight against. Forever it was sugar. And maybe that's still the thing we need to go after. But when Greg sold the company, that's the piece that we lost the most, is that thing you have to fight over, that thing you have to fight for. And Mayhem has it because they have a mission that they believe in, and everything they do is surrounded by that mission. I think that is where CrossFit is lacking. All the people probably say what he wants to hear for years, and they do whatever they want, probably tired of it. And that was what I kind of took about when asked about Dave. He knows he will do what he wants. Yeah, I think so. It's all optics. Desperation, it shows the hand they are holding. It's all optics. Yeah. Hasn't Castro been more of the fall guy, especially for Lazar? I do believe that Dave was the fall guy for Lazar for sure. For sure. I've said that on here too, that I believe that Dave was put out there at the games in 24 to take all the bullets. And that's why everybody wanted him fired, because he took all that on. I think Don has taken the bullets for the lack of direction and the lack of focus for the last 3 or 4 years. David Reed, private equity goals and CrossFit are not compatible. One is 20% growth year over year, and the other is public health. Amen, brother. Yeah, just Mark. I think if you're buying CrossFit, you need to tie the purchase to retention of affiliates. Rich is a threat to that. If he doesn't like the new buyer, Berkshire has to get a feel for the climate and the risk, for sure. And we have a new member. Thank you so much, Frida. Appreciate you so much. That means so much to us, having all these members support the channel. It helps us put the show up every single day. Anyone else feel like all the secrecy and I know this, but you don't, and I know that, but you don't know stuff is a little over the top? It should not be that serious. I'm over the hierarchy approach, I think is what she said. Yeah. This is why I left private equity and started my own company. If you just do everything right, the money just falls into place. Rich understands that. Berkshire doesn't yet. Yeah. I'm just hoping they do eventually. I mean, I want it to be here. I want it to be around. I want CrossFit to live and move on. And yeah. And I want someone in there that, or a group of people in there that are going to take that seriously and take the thing that saved my life and keep it around for others for years to come. Extra sloppy. They are probably turning that corner. I hope so, man. I think a lot of us have been rooting for a corner change for a while now. And I hope this is it. From what I've heard, Rich was promoting the open a ton at the Coaches Congress. If we can have a flat out awesome open season where the community comes together again and we all sweat and we all hurt and we all do the things we need to do, I think that'll be a huge step in the right direction. I love that they're being more transparent by getting things out sooner. I love that they're using the media again. I just started watching the CrossFit podcast that aired this morning. Not very far into it, but talking about affiliates and what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right. And like that content has to keep coming. And I'm so glad that they're starting to do that now. But yeah. So I think we've come to a couple conclusions. I do believe that Rich has some pull, and I think he has more than people think. And I did see a comment where someone said that he would stay affiliated for his competitors to be able to compete in the season. But if Rich doesn't publicly say he's CrossFit, I believe there are enough people influenced by him that will leave, even though he will, in hiding, be an affiliate just to be able to do the CrossFit game workouts and such throughout the season. And two, I think we learned that CrossFit's not for sale anymore. Something has happened. Something has blown up that sale, and we're going to move on as is. I think the biggest change coming will be probably a new CEO. So we'll see. Larry Young, I'll all hurt and sweat. I'm like, how am I going to work out today? I'm sore. Yeah. But we love that. Why'd you do this to me today? I'll see you tomorrow. Jonathan, knowing Rich, he would not be in hiding. I think that what I'm referring to is his comments that he would take CrossFit off all of his signages, off of all of his branding, and it would just be Mayhem if he decides to leave CrossFit, but he would keep an active, an affiliate to be able to do all the workouts at Mayhem and not have to find another place to do it. So that's why I say in hiding. It doesn't mean he's like lurking behind the trees, but he is just not going to publicly show CrossFit forward facing moving forward. And hopefully that changes. Hopefully something has happened where he's got to talk to people. He has been able to influence people in a way that will keep him around as a great spokesman for CrossFit and the greater CrossFit ecosystem. Vicky, the IG media feels current, but the podcast needs a little something. Like, I like Denise a lot, but there's something about the show that's missing. That said, at least it's more consistent lately. Here's what I'll tell you. My belief is whenever you, because of the current format of the podcast sphere overall, if you don't go live and it's edited, people feel like it's homogenized and the podcast is not real or not completely real, or something is being held back or something has been cut out. If you go live, all of that is taken away. There is no hiding what is said. There is no erasing words that you said you didn't want to say. None of that. It's just you being transparent and open with an audience. So whenever I watch a recorded podcast, that's how I feel, just like what you described here. Is it's missing something. It's missing a piece. And it's like, what they don't understand is they think people want polished and refined when it comes to their podcast, when their methodology is the exact opposite. It is gritty in a box. No, until recently, you are the machine, not machines. And you're just, you could do it in an open warehouse and anybody could walk in and do it. And here you are as a podcast presenting that methodology in a polished fashion that doesn't freaking make sense and doesn't even align with your ideals as what your methodology is. It's supposed to be raw and gritty. And nobody cares. The only ones I feel that are of value, and doesn't mean they're not of value. How do I want to say? The ones that speak to me more are when it's a group of people sitting around the same table and they're talking back and forth. That seems a little more authentic to me than the Zoom call edited. But that's my opinion. And you can even take that example to like Talking Elite Fitness. Talking Elite Fitness doesn't go live. And I think they're missing something with that. They're trying to be polished instead of just talking from the heart. And if there's one thing I've learned in this business, talk from the heart, talk how you believe. And that will take you a lot further than having the shiniest toy in the toy box. Yes, very curated. And you can control it. You can control the scene. You don't have to worry about what people say. So, yeah. Say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean. Can it be because they are afraid of burning bridges? Let me pose this question to you in another way, Frida. When CrossFit was at the height of its growth, so we're talking 14, 15, 16, height of its growth, did they care about burning bridges? They were unapologetically, this is who we are. This is what we're here to do. We're here to save lives. We're here to make people stronger. We're going to get people to stop eating sugar. We're going to get them off the couch. And if you don't like that, too bad. But that's what we're here to do. So why have we flipped the script to being very methodical? It's this whole private equity world that they want to have control over the message that goes out. How about trusting the people you bring in to convey the mission and the message that you have? Jonathan Ortega, many podcasts are not live. I think CrossFit podcasts are like the 1% that is live. Right. But that is what is acceptable now in this genre or in this space. And if you're not doing that, then the audience is not there for you. David Reed, if you try to please everyone, you please no one. And I believe that is the anchor that has been holding back CrossFit since private equity bought them. They are trying to appeal to the masses and try to please everyone. And they thought that would help grow what CrossFit is. And in fact, it did the opposite. It's alienated people. And now people have a mixed message as to what you are. And with a mixed message means you're going to lose people. I really think they need to have that sit down with Rich, talk about why they came up with their mission, how they as an entity, because I've worked for a lot of companies that came up with a mission statement, and it doesn't matter if you come up with it if you don't follow it. The problem that the thing that Mayhem does better than anybody is they made a mission and they follow it to a T. That is their core beliefs. That is who they are as an entity, and they have grown tremendously because of it. CrossFit has not done that. We don't have that leader that said, hey, we're fighting sugar and we're doing this, and this is how we're going to do it. We don't have that person anymore, and we don't have anything written down to follow anymore. Agree on that, Scott. It's just that people seem to be more afraid and to hold on to what they have. But if you're holding on so tightly to what you have, it's slipping away anyway. And eventually you're going to lose your grip on that too. Isn't Rich's podcast recording? It is. And there are exceptions to every rule, Jonathan. And Rich is such an icon in the space that people want to hear what he has to say. And I don't think anybody that listens to Rich thinks he's not saying what he believes. Where I don't think that the same trust has been earned by CrossFit, the HQ. I don't think that people believe everything that comes out of their mouth like they do with Rich. I think Rich has been true to himself for 15 years in the space and has earned the trust of everybody that whatever he says is what he says, where I don't think people truly believe that about CrossFit. They have not earned that trust from people yet, or earned it back. Exactly, Vicky. Just like personal goals. Does this decision align with my goal of XYZ and my integrity, who I am? And I think you can say that about Rich every day of the week and 2 times on Sunday. Can you say that about CrossFit? I don't think so. I don't think all of their decisions are based on whatever their goals are. And I don't know if they even know what the goals are. And I think that's the biggest problem. They don't have direction of what those goals could be. So they need a leader to set them straight on that. Maybe talk to a Rich Froning. How did you come up with your mission? What do you do to make sure that mission is being upheld by everybody in your organization 365 days a year? Our goal is to find a goal. There you go. Well, that should be goal number 1 for sure. All right, guys, it's getting to the end of the lunch hour. I told you guys on Friday I was going to try to watch Superman and the Charlie Sheen documentary. I did get both of those in this weekend. I will tell you, the new Superman, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was fine. I would probably give it a B to a B+ rating. I thought it was entertaining, but I didn't get that goosebump chill superhero moment that I've gotten in other superhero movies. And at times I felt like I felt like the dog was more the superhero in the focus than Superman himself. And then the AKA Charlie Sheen documentary was insane. Insane. Again, I grew up with Charlie Sheen. What Platoon was one of the first movies I saw at the movie theater. I'm a Major League fanatic. Plus, the whole Brat Pack years. And I love 2.5 Men. I've loved the whole thing. But, man, that guy has lived a cursed and wild life. And if you have some time, the documentary is well worth it. I hope he is finally down the demons and is moving on with life. Megan Bauman, Christopher Reeves will probably always be my favorite Superman. Superman 1 is one of the best movies ever. It lost its way as it went into sequels, but I will give you, like, Superman 1 was amazing. I really did like Henry Cavill, but I thought the writing in the last couple of Supermans was a little off. So yeah, I'll probably go with you too. Christopher Reeves is probably the best one. And everybody, member, daily visitor, Jody Lynn, happy birthday. You're the best. It's so good to see you in here every day, but I wanted to wish you a happy birthday before I leave today. You are awesome, and I hope you have an amazing day selling 5 million cabinets today, or designing 5 million cabinets, whatever that might be. So with that, guys, you guys are awesome. Love hanging out every day. Thank you for all of the subscribe and joins. And I think even Jody said that. Nice lunch crowd here today. Scott hit the like button. Everyone, there we go. And yes, and happy birthday, happy birthday to Jody. Hope she has an amazing day. Have a great day. We'll see you all tomorrow on Lunch with the Clydesdale, where I get to sit down with my buddy, Josh Hicks, and talk about safety and the health around the CrossFit events. With that, check everybody tomorrow. I can't find the button. Bye, guys.